Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Spencer Crandall, and this is Why Are We Here? Today's guest is Fillmore. He's my buddy who's a country music artist. We get into marriage, we get into touring, we get into country music and how you define country music. It's a super fun episode. Check it out. Make sure to subscribe and get into it. Here we go. Why are we here? What's up, dude?
What's going on, bro?
Nothing much. We were just talking about how I saw you at Whiskey Jam last night. Is that your first show, like in a super long time?
No, actually, I did like a cattle arena in like Florida. And
Cattle arena?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's a cattle arena, you know. There's like a big awning over the thing.
Yeah.
And like they did up the whole thing, and it was thousands of people. That was like kind of, and there was a catwalk, and I was like running on the catwalk, and I was like singing and running around like I do, and I was like, man, this seemed so much easier in the past. Now I'm like
out of shape in the singing world.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to start running again. But anyway, long story short, last night was definitely a first in some ways in a while, but it wasn't the first one back, but they're all kind of rolling in now.
Yeah,
so.
Dude, your live show is great.
Thank you.
It felt awesome. I feel like you have to like write music for your live show, like very purposefully, because it felt that way. It was like every song had that like, oh, the whole crowd's gonna sing this part. Like it just felt great.
Dude, thank you, man. I think it just sort of started happening that way. I would assume that maybe my writing has shifted that way because of touring a little bit, but there's just a bunch of songs about girls. I don't think you can go wrong.
Yeah, that and the party stuff. The first song I ever heard of you was Headlights.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. I really, really like this.
Yeah.
And then I felt like it was a couple months later or something. And then Scott was like, hey, do you want to write with my buddy Fillmore, our friend Scott Porter, who's now my roommate? And I was like, dude, I would love to, because I just heard this stuff. And I think that was the first time we met, right?
Yeah.
That's writing.
Yep.
And then we wrote a song called Fire in the Sand, which I put on my very first like mixtape, the first thing I ever did when I first moved to town. And yeah, you're just one of the few guys who like, I feel like kind of sits in the same space as me, which is like we love country music, but we also like want to do it our way, and we like
100%.
have this different version of it, which I think is awesome. Like, what is your definition of like country, or is that even super important to you? Like the genre conversation to me is super tired.
Yeah, I think it's tired, and I think there's just too many there's too many opinions both ways in the genre conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it said that way, but that's such like a real thing, and it is tired. I mean, it's just like it's just a bunch of opinions, and it's not like anyone's right. It's like what makes what.
It's all subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like there's vocal minorities on both sides. These people who are so like, no, you don't understand. This isn't country because, and like, no, you don't understand. It is. It's like, do you like the music?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It should just be about the music, man, and it should just be like you like it or you don't. Like,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
It doesn't matter where it sits. I honestly feel like country now is the genre of America, so it's not necessarily has to be defined by like whether there's cowboy boots or a cowboy hat or your haircut.
Mm-hmm.
I think, as much as I want to get rid of this dumb haircut, but what I will say is like I truly think that you just standing out and putting something together that people respond to, like the live show stuff, I think is the most important, because at the end of the day, that is what country music is.
Totally.
It's something that brings people together, just like music does, but it is, it is for, I feel like it's for the flyover states. It's for everything. It's for the American. I truly feel like.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the genre is now, because rock and roll is really, that was what it was. And now 100%. I feel like country's become that.
Dude, I love that. That's a great way to think about it. And I feel like the storytelling is like what I always come back to. Like my number one dude is Justin Timberlake, and I couldn't listen to more Justin Timberlake if I tried, but can't stop the feeling like I don't necessarily know what the lyrics mean. I just know they make me feel good. Country, you're telling the story like with the music video as you're hearing the song. And that's what your songs do such a great job of. Like, I use you in rights all the time. The like Sprite through the drive-through. Sprite tastes better through the drive-through. I'm like, that's such a great, like, you see that, you feel that, you know that, versus like she's different. You know, that I think is the difference of country storytelling versus pop storytelling. It's like pop sometimes can just be she's quirky or whatever. Like your example is like, oh shit, everyone knows that girl who claims that this is better than that. And like, it's such a Americana. If you grew up in a small town, you know this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I feel like you kill that. You crush that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I don't even know what to say back to that. Thank you. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, dude.
You grew up in Wildwood, Missouri.
Yes, sir.
You have a bunch of siblings. Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest of 4, yeah.
Oldest of 4. And your brother's on the road with you guys.
Yeah. So
correct?
he's running my sound last night. So he's my front of house. And yeah, it's a crazy thing. He's starting to grow his hair out now. So he's.
Maybe he can take the man bun. He will be the Fillmore with the man bun.
Yeah, maybe we'll just switch.
Do you really want to not have the man bun anymore?
Yeah, I've not wanted it for a while, but
interesting.
It just, you go to radio and all these things and like all these photos and like everything that kind of just builds around your career, even though the haircut happened on accident, like just how it all kind of just like, tumbles into this.
Wait, what's the story behind the haircut and the accident? I have to know. I've never heard this.
I went to Alabama for the 4th of July. I was at this house party and I was drinking and I complained that I'd been growing my hair out since I moved to Nashville. And I was like, I need to cut my hair off. I was like, I can't do it. It's too long. It's so hot. And I was like pulling it back and I was like, just like putting it in a bun because I was like just sweating. It was so hot in Alabama. And I get pretty drunk on the 4th of July.
Of course.
And then I end up sitting down on a Yeti and they like tied my hair up and these, they're both hairdressers, some of the people there. And I was like, drunk me was like, hell yeah, go for it. And they called it an undercut and they like shaved the sides and then I threw some water on my face and I was like, I feel a million times better because like it's just that. Made it just like way less hot. And then I like took some photos with it like on Instagram and like just posted it and like thought it was kind of funny and then like it just became like a recognizable thing and then like but I always just kind of wanted to get rid of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you look great.
Thanks, bro.
If you ever need to transfer the hair, I don't really have hair.
Okay.
So
cool.
we'll take your hair. Jeff, what do you think is the possibility of us doing a hair transplant? I will take the man bun. I will carry it, and then you can start wearing baseball hats.
I'll donate. I'll like shave it off, and then we can like put netting underneath it, and you can like wear like a toupee.
It seems like you have this down. Have you ever?
No, I haven't thought about it, but like we could do that.
I'm in. Okay. I'm so in. What was it like growing up with 4 siblings? I'm one of 4 as well. Are you like? Does that make you want to have a bunch of kids? Does it make you want to have no kids?
Man, I just got married, so like the kid thing is definitely happening in the future. I'm not sure when, and I think I've always wanted more kids, but I don't know. I'm gonna kind of let it see where it folds and what's gonna happen because like I loved growing up with my siblings but I have all these these goals and things, and there's never a right time to have kids or anything like that. So I'll just kind of just see where things
Yeah, I feel like in our industry, like the kid conversation is so different than any other job because your kids aren't going to grow up like in the same neighborhood doing the same thing every day. Like your kids are going to be on a bus and they're going to be traveling around the country like in little bunks or in these back rooms. Like it's a very different existence for a kid.
I feel like it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a whole different thing even for like your marriage. I feel like that's a completely different like scenario to get married into.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So hey, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Talk to me in like a year.
Okay, deal.
Maybe I'm pregnant now. I don't even know.
Who knows? We don't know.
We don't know.
We cannot confirm.
Yes, or deny.
What's the hardest part of being married so far?
Nothing. It's easy.
Is that the year 1 answer?
No, that really is the answer. I was trying to say
if it's the right person, it should be that.
Yeah,
way.
I was trying to say like that is like funny, but no, it's actually awesome.
I love that.
Nothing really changed. I mean, I had a lot of opportunities in quarantine and like COVID and everything like that without touring that helped me like stop and be able to like knock a couple things out. And I say it like that, but just having the time to where it doesn't conflict with something. And so I got engaged and then months later got married because I was like, I don't know how long this pandemic's going to last, but I'm going to utilize all this time, this free time, so that if I would have set it for this year and then like this opportunity comes up like the Brett Young tour, and I'm like, well, my wedding's on this date.
Yeah.
Well, then you almost miss out on a whole tour because like you have to make it all work. I can't just move a wedding, so you kind of have to like time it the right way. It's kind of crazy. So COVID was like a huge help in that way.
Yeah, I feel like there is there was never a better time to get engaged and married and just knock it out. Just get it.
Yeah.
Not like you want to get it over with.
Know,
But
that's what I said. We keep saying knock it out, but I'm like, that's not what
no,
we mean.
but in our line of work, you don't have a lot of time or weekends.
Yeah.
That like you can get people together, and so that probably worked out for the better. Now, did you guys have a bunch of people?
Did we have a bunch of people? Yeah, we had 25 people.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I saw on your Instagram. It was like
my bus driver
low-key.
married us on the beach.
That's
So
incredible.
we took the bus down there from Nashville. I had my groomsmen, she had her bridesmaids, and then got married in her parents' backyard, which is like right on the beach right there.
Dude.
So then we parked the bus there, did the whole, it was a beautiful wedding. The whole thing was amazing. And then I did like a reception in May on Memorial Day weekend this year.
Nice.
With like family from Missouri and her family from Illinois. And we kind of like had the wedding video playing, and then, we had like this barbecue. It's like an I Do barbecue, so you did like that whole thing. So it was cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
I love
everyone got to be kind of a part of it. It was all safe and everything back when. And so
Nice.
it's all good.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
easy.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. What made you go with just Fillmore? I was so curious about this, and I couldn't find an answer anywhere. Versus Tyler Fillmore, like, is it just because there's a lot of Tylers, or do you just like Fillmore? Because I love the cleanliness, just like Fillmore. It just feels
I appreciate
nice.
Crandall.
Jeff, can we change to just Crandall?
Okay.
No.
No,
It's like the bun. You're stuck.
yeah, you're stuck, dude. I'm sorry.
Shit. I have to wear hats forever, and I can't be Crandall.
Yeah, dude.
What if I got a man bun and I went by Crandall and I started wearing a beard? Thoughts?
I'd quit. You can just take it, man. It's all yours, man. I'll start writing songs. You just keep them. It's all good.
Deal.
Yeah, the Fillmore thing was just it's a combination of everything you kind of said. There's a lot of Tylers, but also like my entire life, no one ever called me Tyler. Like sports, all my closest friends, high school, college, my fraternity, everyone just always called me Fillmore. It's like one of those last names that people, instead of calling you Tyler because there are other Tylers, like, what's up, Tyler? It's like Fillmore. Everyone always just called me Fillmore. Like I was just Fillmore as a person. So like I would respond to Fillmore before I responded to Tyler growing up. And so like when it came to the artist stuff, there's different variations of things I tried. Like there was Tyler Fillmore Band in high school. There's Fillmore as a trio in college, which was like a Rascal Flatts style trio. And then there was Tyler Fillmore when I first moved to town. And then I dropped it to Fillmore when I kind of figured out my sound and everything that I was going for. Because I was like, that's really what everyone's always called me. But yeah, there definitely is like a narcissistic path there to keep my name on everything. But
I like it,
my
though.
last name. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, that's really what happened. I remember just kind of running it by a couple people, and like it was just, you kind of just be like, "Is this what I want to do?" And then like, it was unanimous, and I was like,
Yeah, do
"All
it.
right, yeah."
That's sick. So how long have you been doing music then?
Man, I've been doing it. I mean, not on purpose, but doing like choirs and everything like that, like since like 5th grade and on. I mean, like do all that stuff like even before, like they teach you violin in like 4th grade and all these other things that were kind of like a part of the curriculum back then. And I just kind of did music because it was there, but it wasn't like I actively was like, this is my dream. Like I played piano and stuff like that and did like little things, but like wasn't like taking it too seriously at all. I was so much more focused on sports. And then, basically just took a voice scholarship to college, which instead of like a sports scholarship, like everything shifted so much within a couple years. And that's kind of when the greatest things happen, is when like, you have to remember that. Like, and I always forget that too. And that's even happening after COVID for me in some ways, but it's like sometimes in the biggest amount of chaos, at least in my life, and the biggest things like that, when things don't go the way that you thought they were going to or how you planned them, it almost every time in my life, at least, turns into one of the biggest opportunities and pivot moments of my career or life. And I don't know why it happens that way every single time, but amidst the chaos, somehow some little bit of magic happens. So now I kind of welcome it with open arms, but it's, I don't know, it's just weird. So like that's another thing that's what put me on the path to music. And that's happened with me being independent. That's happened with me being with a label. All these different things happen that somehow with me being so vague right now, turn into bigger moments. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
No, dude, I love that. I mean, similar with me, like, I feel like pre-COVID, I was like, wow, all of our plans are out the door. And I feel like I know that happened with you with some touring and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, what was going through your head when the world was shutting down and you have a song at radio, like all that stuff happening the way that it did? Take me through that process.
I think I just thought like everyone else, like it was not going to last as long as it did.
Yeah. Dude,
So I think
seriously.
there was no really way to like, you're just kind of like hoping like, it's not going to last this long. So I don't really know what goes through your mind until like it becomes like a very real thing, because like when you plan touring and everything like that, like I don't know if a lot of people realize, but it's like you're 6 months out, you already know what the next thing is, because there's so many things that go into that. The routing, you know, your agent has to make sure that these 3 dates are next to each other and then they're not 90 miles away, you know, so that this clause isn't touched, so you can still go play this venue and this for this amount of money. And then, okay, well now this is happening, so his money's gone up. And so like it just constantly just shifts so that you can get out there to see the fans and do all that and keep the business rolling. But yeah, I mean, I've had a headlining tour that I've been supposed to go on for the last 2 years, but it's now moved to the spring of 2022.
Yeah. Well,
And
the
it
good
could
news
have been
is
this fall, but then, you know, I'm on the Brett Young tour, so then it just keeps getting pushed.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Well, there are worse things to substitute. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. But
no, but that's awesome. You've gotten to open up for some sick people. Like, I was going through the list. I'm now going to ask you a couple people's names, and you're just going to give me like a couple thoughts on each human. I'm going to run through some. All right, ready?
Yep.
Chase Rice.
Badass. Man, touring with him was just an eye-opening experience for me to see like what true fans are like. Like, it's not like they're literally there. It doesn't matter your success on radio or any of that stuff. They're there because they love your music. They love you as an artist. It's like a cult following, and he really built an amazing audience that, you know, touring with him for a year, it allowed me to gain more fans, because like when you open up for someone else's fans, then those fans will latch on to you. Hopefully that's the goal.
100%.
And those Chase Rice fans are second to none. So
Next level.
yeah,
That's awesome. What about Brett Young? Speaking of Brett Young.
yeah. Brett is just, I love that guy. He's you know, I was his first right when he moved to Nashville.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
I met him at a show at Mercy Lounge. He was opening up for an act, but he was still living in LA, and he was just playing on acoustic. And I just got his number afterwards because I thought he was awesome. And then I said, if you ever moved to Nashville, like, I'd love to write. And then like literally months later, he was like driving from, I think through Texas. I don't know where. And he's like, I'll be there tomorrow morning, blah, blah.
That's
you want to write?
crazy,
And then
bro.
I was like, yeah, let's write. So he just showed up, and then that's just how the whole relationship started. So like, he's just an old friend, an amazing friend. And obviously this is our, you know, I've opened shows for him. We've done stuff together. But this is like the first big thing that I've been able to do with him. So I'm really excited about that.
Dude, that's going to be awesome.
I'm just thankful for Brett Young. So I'll just say thankful.
Nice. Lauren Alaina.
I mean, the funniest human ever. She's everything that you see. Like, what you see is what you get with her. And it's like, it's so refreshing and fun to be around. And touring with her was absolutely amazing. She has a bunch of amazing fans as well.
Yeah.
So doing that stuff, like, it just, that's another beauty of country music too.
Right.
So her voice is insane. You know, great personality, all the above, just a win.
Yeah.
A win
She
all
seems
around.
just fun, man.
Yeah, she is. She's badass.
I follow her on Instagram. Like, she just seems like good hang. Just a fun human being.
She just loves to like have fun, and
Yeah.
that's like, you need more people like that.
100%. What about Walker Hayes?
I actually wrote with Walker Hayes yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, did I play Whiskey Jam yesterday? Yep.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I wrote with him right before Whiskey Jam, and
Nice.
I toured with him top of 2019, and that's another one of those things where he just has that following, and it's just insane to watch and be a part of. So like, I feel like I've been really blessed to get on those tours, because then it helps build a following for you as an artist, and especially if you're in front of people like that. But yeah, Walker Hayes is he's honestly just awesome, and he that was very instrumental to my career. And we were even talking about it yesterday when we were writing, and it's just cool to see how everything's gone. And also, his new EP is awesome.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah, I love it. That Fancy Like songs.
He has just such a different style.
Yeah,
it's so him.
I guess like yeah. So my word for him is just like unique, and it's
100%.
like it's not unique to be unique either. Like it's truly who he is,
Right?
And it's pretty awesome to see. Also, he's got a lot of kids.
Dude, he's got a ton of kids.
Yeah.
He was the first guy.
Pretty cool to see,
I saw
like,
him at a
navigate
writers
all
round at the Bluebird. It was the first round I ever went to, and at the time he had 3 kids and like a Bieber haircut, and he had, like just had a publishing deal. And I remember like he played with like a couple other random people. And it was really good. And I was like, man, this guy was awesome. Didn't even think about it for like 4 or 5 years. I'm like, wait, that is the guy that we saw. My parents are with me. I'm like, holy shit. Like, he has come so far. He's a great,
crazy.
like, just success story. Like,
100%. I just don't think that people realize how many of those success stories exist in country.
mm-hmm.
Because, like, honestly, like, it's almost everyone's path that, like, it just goes like this in this town.
Oh, dude.
I mean, half the people that are, playing arenas or whatever. I mean, use Brett Young. I mean, he was in LA for 12 years before he moved here.
Yeah.
So I'm doing music. You got to
Right.
think like that. This is like, it's the whole 10-year town thing. It's like, it's that and then some. Like people, there's no overnight success. It's just crazy to see how this actually goes.
Right. I talk to a lot of people and they're like, oh, I'm so frustrated. Nothing more is happening for me. I'm like, how old are you? They're like 20. I'm like, okay, you have so long. Like Brett's first single going number 1 was probably like 32, 33. Like that's a long time. You can be in this town forever and then have a 2-decade-long career.
Yeah.
After that. That's incredible. And I love the like underdog story. I had heard somewhere that you sold your car to like pay for your masters. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So masters are like the ownership of
Correct.
a song. And that was like back in the day. That's kind of how I got this whole thing started. Obviously, I'm with the record label now, and different deals are done and things change.
Sure.
But like the way that it kind of, you have to, make money somehow to funnel the business. And that's the only.
But that's a huge sacrifice. You're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Like that's going for it.
Yeah, dude. I haven't had a car since. I just realized I don't need one.
You still don't have a car?
Or I drink too much. Just one of the two. So, yeah. That's it.
Just Uber, baby.
Yeah.
Does your wife have a car?
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
that's
Perfect.
Yeah. It's our car now.
That's why you get married, folks. For the R car situation.
For the our car situation.
No, I love that story because, like, I think a lot of people talk about wanting to make it, but, like, that's the next level of, like, you know what? I really want this. Like, that is
That's how bad you want
the
it, man.
dream. Absolutely.
That's
Like,
so true.
You've been in town for how many years? Like 8 years? 9 years?
9.5, I think.
What's been the biggest change that you've seen? Or maybe, like, what's been your favorite part of the industry changing over the course of a decade? And what's been the part that you're like, oh, this is frustrating?
Oh, man, I think there's things that like in hindsight you wish you would have seen coming, but you never really know, right? So, I think for me, I love the independence and the access that it's a double-edged sword, but the access that fans have and the artist has, and the ability to basically, if you want it bad enough, you can do a lot of it on your own. You can do it all on your own. I truly believe that. Now there are certain pieces of the puzzle that have to come in, like radio and things like that. But I think that continues to change, and I think that for me, I don't think I change anything because it always taught me something new. But at the same time, it's crazy to like. It's just like hindsight looking back, like I just said, like I don't have a great answer for this question. I guess the whole thing is like, it's just a ride. I don't even know what to say. Like I don't even know what is better or worse about any of it anymore.
Sure. Well, I think maybe what you're pointing to, which I totally agree with, is like, you could say something's better or worse, but like, it's just always going to be changing and it's always going to be different. And you gotta like love the process and really want it and be able to stick it out through crazy things happening or like
And
a brand.
adapt.
Yeah. Be adaptable.
Yeah, for
100%. I feel like your sound is so different. What were the musical influences you had growing up? I know in your town you basically had like 2 radio stations, like pop and country. What were like? Did you have an iPod? Were you like a LimeWire kid? Like, where did this crazy kind of like influences of all these genres come from? Because you obviously have country, and you obviously have a bunch of different stuff, hip hop, R&B, so on.
Yeah. I don't know if there's an answer for that one either, because like think of how we grew up though, with the access to everything, making mixtape CDs. I mean, I remember one time I was at a bus stop and there's a CD on the ground, and I put it in like my Walkman or like CD player, if anyone knows what those are, and I literally like played it on the bus, and I just had found it on the ground, scratched up, and it like played, and it like introduced me to like Nirvana and like all this other music that I had like never listened to before, and that's how I discovered it. Like
That's wild.
a CD at a bus stop, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a million other examples of that. Like, I mean, yeah, we all got on LimeWire, we all did all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like just kind of just figuring out, the cool new music, finding stuff before other people could find it. Now you can just go on Spotify,
Yeah.
or Apple. I mean, it doesn't even matter now. It's just like you can find anything in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. But I think obviously influences from your parents and stuff, but. Yeah, that's just a melting pot of a situation, and I think I've continued to be influenced by all genres, even now, even during quarantine, even on my ride home from here. Like, there's so many cool things people are doing that I fall in love with every time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I feel like our computer crashed every other week because my brother and I
dude.
were on LimeWire just like tearing down the internet, man. It was crazy. I feel like we had like, and it was wild because you go like Green Day to like Tech Nine, just
That's amazing.
all over the place, back
Yeah.
to like Brooks and Dunn and all that shit. And now I think that's a huge part of why we make the music that we make.
Yeah.
Is because we were just exposed to everything. I feel like the cool part about Spotify nowadays is like you and I can both have a real shot at getting exposed to millions of our target audience rather like directly. And I think that is the biggest change that I've liked as I've lived here is when I first came to town, DSPs, not like they weren't important, but they just weren't as big of a player. You still had like the iTunes charts. You still had like physical CDs. Like that was, which is crazy. That's only like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and Spotify was just like, oh yeah, this new kind of thing. Like I barely had Spotify as a listener.
Yeah.
And now I feel like everything we do is to like trigger the algorithms. Like we talked the other night, we hung out and like, we're talking about like these strategies of the algorithm and all that, because as an artist nowadays, you have to wear so many hats. And obviously you have a team, but like, I think in the 90s, it was like, you sing the songs and we'll put you on stage. And it's like now, nope, you got to write the songs, sing the songs, do your marketing, branding, all this kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
What's
It's a
your
lot.
least favorite part of all of the laundry list of things that you have to do? Or the thing that you're like, I love being an artist, but I hate doing X.
I love a lot of it. And I don't think I hate anything. I just think that some of the time-consuming stuff that it takes away from the writing the song and the performing part is definitely a lot of social media stuff. And as much as I love the creativity of that stuff, that creativity for me in that area, like TikTok and all that stuff, it comes in pockets. It's not like there's some people that can do it all the time and every day, and I'm not the best at it all the time, but I love creating something that's visually cool and different. But I overthink everything, so that's why social media is like tough for me because like I overthink everything from every word that I put on the post to like
Gotcha.
that whole thing. So like,
Are you a perfectionist?
probably yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably what messes with me a little bit on the social media front.
How does that work with like songwriting? Are you like super particular, which you should be, but I mean, I feel that way.
I think I let the room do what it does. Like and I love just getting it all out and putting it all together, but I'll edit it later.
I'm the same way. I'm like,
You don't want to stifle the situation.
correct. There's a momentum too in the writer's room of like, if I sit here and try to find this one word, it's going to take the momentum out of the room. I can do this later.
Yeah.
Or like we can do this on a second, third, fourth write.
Yep.
Yeah. I totally feel that.
It's like pick and choose your battles for sure.
Yeah. 100%. Growing up in Missouri, growing up with a bunch of siblings, like what were some of the things that your parents instilled in you, or like what are some of the North Stars in your life that you kind of think of like when I'm 75 or when I'm 85, like what are the things that you're like, I kind of pointed my life towards these kinds of like mission statements or lessons that I was taught? Does that come from religion? Does that come from your parents? Does that come from like yourself and your experiences? Like, what does that look like?
I think it's definitely from just all my experiences. I think that's kind of the North Star, is like learning from mistakes and learning how to pivot and just be the best version of myself I possibly can be, while also attaining the goal. You know, like
What is the goal?
I think the goal that I always say is play stadiums, but then it's like after you play
baby.
stadiums, like what do you do after that? So it's like finding other purpose, like ways to give back and things like that in the future. And, you know, I think there is something magical about like what happened yesterday, where like the whole crowd is singing back your songs. And like I wrote that song, and now I'm performing on stage in the middle of Nashville outside, and there's 1,000 people out there, and then they're singing the words back to you, and you're like, I remember the day I wrote it, like all these things. I remember what it's about, who it's about, all that stuff. And it's like, there's nothing better than that full circle moment.
The best.
Yeah, so the bigger that moment can get, better. But also, you know, you got to enjoy the ride. So
yeah, I feel like I've been inspired by you, because I feel like you didn't like wait around for somebody to come and like, Jeff and I always talk about this, like pick you up and put you on Star Mountain. Like I feel like you went and you just were like, fuck it, I'm going to do this. And you put out a ton of music, and I think we share a lot of the same ideology in like, there's no such thing as failure. Like it's just learning. Like every release is like, oh cool, that didn't work. Okay, here's why. But bam, and just like pivoting and learning from every mistake. And I've watched you do that, and it's been super inspiring as a younger up and coming artist to be like, who are the people who I look up to who are killing it? I feel like you do that really well. Which is hard to do today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think it is super hard to do, especially today. Like the more the years go by, the harder it's going to get for anybody, just to break through all the noise, because there's so much noise right now.
Dude, so much noise. Like with the internet and Spotify and TikTok and all this crazy stuff, I feel like it's so hard to break through and like have a moment where you're like, this is a thing and it's moving because there's 1,000 other people who are right behind you. Like, how do you deal with failure? Or like, what is your natural response when things like go south?
I think I think it's just, that's such a hard question, because like I don't know if there's any good way to deal with failure, but I don't even know if I look at it as failure. Maybe that's what it is. Like I don't look at this. I'm sure there's plenty of failure in my life, but when I look back on it, I've convinced myself that it wasn't failure. It was just a necessary step to the next thing.
Yeah.
Well, so for
that's
some
the
reason,
best way to deal with failure, is to disrespect it. Like I feel the same way. I'm like, like somebody
really
might think
like
that
I
didn't
failed.
work. Yeah.
I don't know if I've failed yet, and I've definitely like failed. So I don't know what that means. But
No, same, bro. I feel the same way.
I've definitely failed. Yeah. So I failed on this podcast.
No, man. I'm so glad that that we have you in here, because I feel like we talked the other night and we have just a very similar like dream and goal, and the way that we see the way to get to that goal. Like, what about a stadium? Did you grow up going to a stadium show? Like, why is that the dream?
It's just the biggest thing I can think of. If you got something bigger, like
No, bro, I'm the same way, because I would grow up seeing like Kenny Chesney in Mile High. That's like our whole fan club and everything's called like the Stadium Gang. Like that's our goal, is to play a stadium.
That's awesome.
So one day when I open for you in a stadium, just remember this podcast, everybody. We're gonna play this on Jumbotron. Hi, 2024 us. See how I only gave us a couple years? That's pretty nice.
It's gonna be sick,
dude.
Can't wait.
That's literally, I mean, that is the dream. That's the peak, the pinnacle for me, is like the thought of everyone in town or in that city like showing up to one place. Like, Kenny Chesney's like the North Star for me. Like he
that's
just
100%
he does that summer stadium show so fucking well.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. I feel like I got into music and I was like, okay, I think we both kind of have this mindset. It's like, okay, what's the coolest thing I could do? Okay, it's playing a stadium, and let's go do it. Like, have you always dreamed big like that? Like, did your parents give you permission? Were they like super supportive? Where do you think that like? Because I don't think a lot of people in this industry think that way. Like, I think you and I are outliers.
I haven't even thought about that. I've just always thought that way. My parents have always been super supportive. I guess I just, and that goes back to sports too. It's like, if you're gonna do it, just you want to go for the biggest, best version of whatever that is, in my opinion. Otherwise, I think anything worth doing has to have that type of attraction. Otherwise, you're just doing something to do it, and then are you really enjoying it?
Dude, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. The thought of like doing it just to kind of do it, and maybe this means that we're like super extreme and we need to go to therapy, but
Probably. Yeah.
I love the idea that like the hardest, craziest thing is out there. I have one life. Like, what the fuck else am I gonna do? Like, I want to go do it.
Yeah, go get it.
100%. Do you have dreams outside of music? Like, obviously, the stadium is the dream. I get really bad at like, sometimes I forget that like, oh yeah, career music stuff isn't the only thing because we have such a big, crazy dream. It feels like you have to point everything at it. But like, you're married. You love fashion. Like, what do some of those other aspects of your life look like in a life well lived scenario?
Great question. It's not something you always think about or think about that often. So honestly, I mean, you really only focus on getting to that biggest pinnacle moment. Everything else seems like it's a part of that, still a part of that journey to get to that moment, because that's what I'm pointing all the focus at. But with that moment comes things that I love to dabble in, like fashion and things like that. And there's other creative outlets that can come from the success of still that North Star. But yeah, I definitely want a family, and I love being married, and I love my life. It's amazing. But we're all still focused on the greatest goal. But I'm not gonna. It's that or nothing. I'm not doing anything else. So
Yeah.
I mean, I made that decision a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I feel like the people that do it though, like that's the only way to do it. Like you can't have a plan B. And I know it sounds super cliche, but it's like you can't play a stadium and also like I don't know, enter side job here. Like there's one hustle.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
That's how I feel too, man. I feel like the stadium is such a big goal. Again, I get really caught up in it. And in today's day and age, like I do a lot of comparison. And it's something I've asked a couple other people on the show, like, how does your mental health work with like comparison, Instagram, like that culture of Nashville, watching other people get a tour slot, watching other people get a radio thing, watching other people get the record deal before you did? Like, how did you deal with that, or did you deal with that? Or
I don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone deals with that well.
I don't.
I don't either, but I feel like you also just, I don't think I ever really talk outwardly about it. It's something you kind of just see, and you just like, it might fuel you to beat that system or figure out how it's done. I like figuring out how said comparison got to, beating me out or something like that, because learning the path of why helps me go get it for myself.
Yeah.
And I think, comparison sucks, 100%. But I mean, that's like what our whole culture's revolved around right now. So that's all it is. I mean, and it's just kind of understanding it and just doing the best you can every day, and hoping that whatever lucky streak someone else got, hopefully when your lucky streak comes, just to grab it as hard as you can and take it.
Well, I feel like you're good at championing other artists, though. Like, I've seen you take other people on tour, you shout other people out with their music. And I feel like that's Nashville, too. Like, LA kind of has the, like, me versus you, kind of like New York, some of these other industries, too, like acting or whatever. I feel like Nashville's cool because, like, you and I are not in competition. In fact, it's the exact opposite, where it's like, no, we're this little family, and we're all going to run into each other at Red Door. Yeah. So you got to learn to love these people. You got to learn to root for them. You got to learn to, like, stop comparing yourself to everyone. And I actually think that Nashville's pretty good at, even though there's still some comparison, like, overall, I feel like we're better at lifting each other up, and, like, not, like, Jeff and I always use this analogy of, like, you can build the tallest building without knocking down anybody else's building. Like, you can be everything you want to be and not have to, like, take down somebody else or compare yourself to anybody else's building, which I think is a very Nashville country music thing. It's like a family.
Yeah, I think it's country in general, yeah. I think it's super supportive in a lot of ways. I don't know who's supporting people sometimes just because they think it's going to help them out, but people have all their own reasons for why they're being supportive, but I think it's definitely a better way to be.
No, I completely agree. Do you have any, like, thing that you subscribe to, religion, like spiritual guidance, like, do you have anything that you go to when you're, I'm super fascinated in, like, literally the name of the show is called Why Are We Here? So, like, a big part of why I want to have these conversations is because I want to ask people who I'm close with or that don't usually get asked these kinds of questions, like, why the hell are we here? Because I'm always freaking out and having these existential crises. Like, do you have any, like, authors or books or spiritual practice that, like, you go to when you're feeling anxious, when you want to celebrate, like, anything like that?
Really don't.
No?
I know it sounds awful and not healthy.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not the most religious. I've tried things in the past and stuff, but I think there's just kind of continuing to, like, work through whatever issues I have. That's what kind of keeps you busy. And that's kind of, I just keep my focus on, like, that end goal, and everything else kind of just falls in behind. I mean, anxiety and all that stuff. I mean, if I had to curb that, it's probably a beer. So that's probably, reason I drink. I mean, put that on. That's a great title. Anyway, so
okay, we'll write that together later. Reasons I drink.
I might have written it. I don't know. But no, I think everyone has their vices, but
Yeah.
it's everything in moderation. But also just trying to. I don't know about. I mean, I might get more religious. I've gone back and forth different things. I just feel like there is a path that I'm on, and I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And as long as things keep working out, I feel like I'm doing it right. So
Yeah.
that's the only guiding light at the moment.
Yeah. I always ask because, like, I have no fucking idea. Like, the whole point of this show for me is obviously to have great conversations and, like, hang with people I don't get to normally hang with, which I'm glad that you just got to stop in and, like, we actually just got to chat for
Hell
a
yeah,
second because we're always on the road or we're always playing a whiskey jam, and so it's, like, always in passing, and so it's good to just hang. And I also feel like there's a next level conversation that, like, I could have had the show just be called, like, this is why we're here, but I like that it's why we're here with a big old question mark because I have no fucking idea. It's so confusing, dude. And I grew up super, like, conservative and religious and all that stuff, and as I get older, I'm like, I don't know if all this is right. I don't know if some of it's right. I don't, like, it's so fucking confusing. There's, like, 900 religions, and yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot for me.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah. I watch other people, like, be so convicted sometimes about their beliefs, and I, like, wish that I could be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I have those people in my life. I see that stuff, but it's like,
yeah,
man, I don't know. And I also don't like. I'm not someone to put my beliefs on anybody else either. Everyone's got their
Same.
thing. My thing is just like, I like Coors Light,
Fillmore, Coors Light, a religion coming to your town soon.
Why I'm here, Coors Light.
Now we will get a sponsorship from Coors Light. No, this is great, man. I'm so glad that you stopped in. I'm just a fan. I really am. Just, like, there's very few people in the industry that I see what they're doing, and I'm like, yeah, that is, like, exactly how I would do it. And I feel like every chance that you get, you take a chance and you do something unique and original, and it's just really cool to watch. And I'm proud of you as a friend from afar and from near.
Dude, I'm proud of you, man. This is such a cool show. I love everything you're doing, dude. I'm so pumped. I mean, I'm excited to hear some new music too. And
thanks, man.
yeah, we'll talk more after this, but thank you for having me, man.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. We love you. We appreciate you from why we're here. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
See you later, y'all.
All right, that's another episode of Why Are We Here? I'm your host, Spencer Crandall. Thank you so much for watching. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe. Give it a big old thumbs up on YouTube. Super helpful. We love you. We appreciate you. We have a bunch of awesome guests set for season 1, so stay tuned, and we'll see you next week. Why Are We Here?